A lot of my jokes are, let's say, spoken in homage to other comedians, if you understand my drift.
Yeah.
So we have to contact people and sort of back into using me on these shows that are going to be saved for posterity.
Right. So we're there, Mike. I think we're live on
the ApocaLips, please, if you understand what I'm saying.
And so, I believe we're streaming on the old YouTube and sailing away on the Ima Kneady. And here in our showroom, special aboard the Ima Kneady yacht, brought to you by Ima Kneady's Pizza.
There's a very, very nice
pizza's delivered hot and fresh.
We're coming in the week after I think it's 7th national tour of Godspell.
Right. You wouldn't believe.
Very low tech stuff, and I'm doing a couple of the dances that JC, as you know.
If we're lucky, Mike, the cast of Godspell might be around later. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Wear a Mask, Please. Simply do that if you could, please. Wear a mask, and the more of you who do that, the sooner we'll be able to do these shows back in comedy clubs.
Yes,
that was such a fun and unique experience. Something I valued and didn't realize.
Incidentally, just to say that for the people who are here for the first time or have not paid attention before, that is not a basketball in my avatar's hand.
No, not at all, Mike. That happens
a representation of a little thing they call an internationally known award. I'm not going to name it by name because I'm too modest for that.
Mike, is that your Golden Globe?
What?
Mike, I think
ruined the whole thing.
I think you're being a little sheepish. I think you're being a little shy. I believe
I'd be standing behind a sheep. But,
that right there is.
Then I'd be a little shepherdish. But anyway,
right.
We sometimes do some writing sessions in the library on the Ima Kneady Yacht.
Right, gorgeous library. And Mike, as shiny and lustrous as your Golden Globe is, seems Jessica has noticed the beautiful lamp. Which
in the back.
Happens to be an award. I can't believe, I'm so embarrassed that that's getting more attention than
that looks like a Kennedy Center award.
Oh, God!
It's actually it's a John Kennedy Center Award. That's why it's made out of Marilyn Monroe's legs.
That happens to be my Kennedy Center Award for innovation in teaching.
Not unlike Kennedy, the Kennedy brothers, everybody's been passing that around.
You win. Your award is cooler, and your award joke so much better.
Not that it's a better joke. Sure, it's a better joke, but everybody expects that. It's just that I'm so humble about it. That's what
right. So
that's what makes it special.
Today, for a comedy adventure, everybody, we wanted to take you aboard the Ima Kneady Yacht, brought to you again by Ima Kneady's Pizzas delivered hot and fresh. And we're going to set sail.
By the way, it's no contact delivery.
Right. No contact delivery at all.
As a matter of fact, they're so germophobic there, they don't even put the pizzas in boxes. They just have a guy wearing gloves. And he throws it into your car as you drive by the store.
It's very fresh, very hot, and very fresh. Mike, tonight you're on fire and you're a little off the rails there with your
well, I'm always off the rails. And you know why?
That's pretty fantastic. Let's take the boat out for a little spin. We got to head up to Bar Harbor. We also want to present.
Oh, wait, yes, we're headed. You should tell them where we're headed.
We're going to go to Bar Harbor, Maine. And this just reminds me of being a young comedian and doing the comedy cruises out there on the Atlantic and up to Bar Harbor. And, Mike, you're from that territory as well. So yes. I thought we'd take, since it's so hot out, I thought we'd take our audience on an adventure up to Bar Harbor, cool off on the Northern Atlantic. Be careful when the boat does that move. It's a little, when the Ima Kneady's rocking, don't come a knocking, everybody.
I don't know why you keep mispronouncing it. It's the Ima Kneady Yacht. Because that's not a horrible pun.
Right. No, not at all.
Anyway, here we are.
Beautiful New York. first thing you pass when you leave Denver and take your yacht.
We got on the boat at Port Apati, Haiti. I don't know if you noticed that when I was off the rails, but we got on the yacht at Port Apati. Now we're passing the Statue of Liberty, and
very fun, very fun.
Oh, delightful place. It's
good to see New York. Can't wait to go play there. Nice to be here aboard the Ima Kneady, and throughout the night we're going to take you throughout the various theaters of this gorgeous luxury liner, and hear and bring out some of our favorite comedians. We've got Mike, a friend of yours that you met, and we invited to the ApocaLips before, and we had so much fun with him. So my pleasure to just pop up here from behind the bar, and you know,
look,
Mike,
he's all ready to clap.
I wonder if you're going to do any of those little fancy moves that you learned.
Well,
from
occasionally I will do that when I'm really happy that an actor is going to be on here,
Fred.
and I am really happy this guy is going to be on here.
Bam. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike is 10 times better at saying our next guest's name than I am. So he's been training like an Olympic warrior.
Ordinarily, that's just a thing that people say, but we actually had it measured by an independent study group. And I am exactly 10 times, well, it's 9.8, but I'm round up. I'm 10 times better at saying Raghu Adibhatla's name than Chuck is. Who?
There we go, ladies and gentlemen, Raghu Adibhatla.
Hey.
You'll get it. You will get it,
guys. Thank you so much. Great to see everybody. So at the
volume.
Well, actually, let me start with we moved to the burbs about 3 years ago, and my friends, you know, they still live in the city, and they always want us to visit the city, and you know, but then we'd be like, hey, why don't you guys come down here? We'll have a barbecue, whatnot. And they would always come back with, oh my God, it's so far. Like, you know, it's just too much for us. Why don't you guys come here? It'll be so much easier. And I'd always just be like, it's the same distance. Like, there's no like, I don't understand. And now that we, you know, we're in this pandemic, they would always ask us, you know, hey, how is it in the burbs? You know, like, you know, the quarantine and all. And I would always tell them, like, to tell you the truth, we don't know. We don't notice it. I mean, I haven't seen my neighbors in the 3 years we moved here. So I don't even know if people live here. Like, I don't get it. We don't see anybody. So really, yeah, we don't notice. We don't notice at all. You know? So we got 2 small kids, and one of them, our little boy, he's 3. And you know, and here's the thing, like when they want something and they really like can't find something, like he couldn't find this toy car. So he threw this big tantrum, and when they go into a tantrum, you can't understand what they're saying. Like they don't use words except when they cry. And really it's always the same thing. Like I took him to the toy room, and this is what he does. What did you say? I'm like, words, and it's always the vague pointing, and you know, and I'm trying to get a name out of him. I'm trying to get where it might be. It's like information out of a dying criminal. You ever seen a movie at the gun pointer? Tell me the name. Tell me a name. Give me a location.
In fairness, they have a bullet in their lungs, Raghu.
We try to, you know, and I hope one day we can get back to live birthday parties, you know, like actually, you know, having friends and family around. And we used to throw a lot of birthday parties for our kids, and my wife always wanted theme birthdays. A lot of people do that. They do theme birthdays, but it's expensive. Okay, it's really expensive. My kid's first birthday, we threw a jungle theme party. Everything was jungle. Paper towels, napkins, decorations, wallpaper, cake, life, everything. And you know, and then I told my wife, I said, you know what? Next time, I'm gonna pick the theme. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to go into Party City. Our next theme is going to be clearance. Whatever is in that aisle, I don't care. Like, I'm getting it. My son was born in May. His theme is going to be Easter. We're gonna have crosses everywhere. We're gonna have Jesus popping out of a cake. It's gonna be awesome. I don't care what religion you are, you're coming to our birthday party. That is going to happen. Okay? A lot of
Uh-oh.
No.
Frozen.
Oh no, Raghu.
No, Raghu.
What's up?
Sorry,
You froze
you
for a
froze
minute.
up a little bit there, big
sorry.
dog.
Connection.
Hey, back in the old
Am I
days,
back?
you had to be scared to do that.
Am I back? So my friends my friends are having babies now. Like they just had a baby, and they're always reading these books. Like then the most famous book, What to Expect When Expecting. And I got to tell you, I'm honest with them and said, look, you could read this book, but the only thing you're going to expect is a baby. It's not like it's going to be the most unpredictable thing. And here's what you really should be reading. What you really should be reading is How to Negotiate with a Terrorist. Okay? Because if you can get Abdul Hussein Makdassi to tell you where all the bombs are located in a subway, you can get a toddler to go to bed. which is not easy, by the way. It's not easy because they're really good at negotiating. Kids are so good at negotiating. My daughter came to my wife, okay, and moms are really tough. It's like an operation that they just shut down. My mom, my wife would just be like, my daughter goes to my wife and is like, hey, can I watch TV and can I have a cookie? My wife is like, no, you can't have that. That is not possible. It's not happening. Goodbye. Then she'll come to me. Okay. She'll come to me and she'll be like, Daddy, can I have a cookie and can I watch TV? Now, here's the thing about dads. We're not good at negotiating. So I would say no at first. And she would give me those sad eyes and she would say, can I watch TV? And I said, all right, fine. But you know what? This is the last time. This is what dad does. This is the last time. So she's watching TV and she's eating a cookie. My wife comes downstairs. It's not a pretty sight because I created this. I created this monster. I created this situation. And she will ask me, what happened? I told her she can't watch TV. She can't eat a cookie. What happened? This is the only thing I could come back with. Okay, just listen. I at first said no, but then I said, this is the last time. This is the last time. She's never going to do it again. Trust me. Those are the most two deadly words from a husband. Trust me. It just doesn't work. I created this, So a lot of people are doing like outdoorsy things. And we decided, well, we're doing hikes now. I'm hiking now. I was never a hiker. The only time a man will walk anywhere is if it leads to a sports bar. Like we just don't do it. We just don't do it. And then last fall, and we might do it again, last fall, my wife and her parents and everybody wanted to watch the trees turn color. This is a thing. We have a tree in our yard that we've never looked at. But we drove 3 hours to Wisconsin to watch the trees turn a color. This is the thing. And another thing about men, we will go to any scenic place, anywhere, a flower bed, whatever, as long as there's a brewery. And every time I see a farmhouse or some big house, I'm always hoping that's a brewery. You show me that, I will take pictures of anything. I'll do it. I'll be your photographer. Then I kid you not, we drive all the way back and a half a mile from our house, my wife goes, "Oh my God, look at these trees. The colors are so beautiful." Crazy, it is. I'm gonna end on this. So we have 2 kids, and people always ask, "Hey, what's the benefit of having another kid?" And I say, okay, there's a lot, but here's the thing, though. Your first kid, you're gonna treat really well. You're gonna protect that kid. You're gonna strap him into a car seat. You're gonna do everything. You're gonna give my daughter, we gave her a bath like every day. Okay, she was a clean baby every day. Our son, we just Febreze as he walks out the door. You guys, I'm Raghu Adibhatla. Thanks for the time.
Right.
Hey, Adibhatla, Raghu Adibhatla, ladies and gentlemen.
Damn.
Man, oh man.
Nailed it.
Those
Mike.
kids are gonna be fucked up, huh?
Let's take the kids.
Oh, look at this.
Washington, that's
We just took a little side trip on our way to Bahama to go by Washington and look at that. And speaking of Washington, Raghu and his family visited Washington. And when they went by the White House, Raghu said, "Hey, Ma, can we stop at the brewery?" My kids always waited until we got to the store, Chuck, before they started to pull their stuff on me. Like, "If I help you get all the groceries, Dad, will you let me sleep in my own bed tonight?" When we're going by the cashier, you know what I mean? So she's just kidding. Anyway,
let's bring up our next guest. She, has been a staple on your show, the Open Mic. We really enjoy her comedy. Almost every week she's joined us, and we finally.
No matter how her hair comes every week, it looks great. She always complains about her hair. I hope you're not doing jokes on it tonight, but every time she comes in here, she makes these jokes about her hair, and her hair always looks great, and it looks better than mine does now. But that's not saying much by itself, but it's very good hair. And anyway, she's very wonderful. Please welcome, if you will, the expertly coiffed Donna Shannon.
Yeah.
Donna Shannon.
Hey, I went the extra mile for y'all today. I'm even wearing makeup and everything.
Okay. Yeah.
Chuck, there must be something in the air.
I know, somebody had to take y'all seriously. I guess it was me. So anyways, I've been married a few times because, I'm a keeper. But I always knew my first marriage wasn't going to work out because he was an Episcopalian and I was a slut. Yeah, and that's just not a good combination. And I also kind of knew the odds were against us. I got married when I was really young. We met when I was a junior in high school and he was a senior. And come to think of it, it was a little bit weird taking an 80-year-old to prom. But, we got a sweet discount at Denny's afterwards. So yeah, but he was a senior in high school. So and you know what, I'll tell you, I gotta be honest, it's kind of hard to be a slut when you look like a fan art version of Velma from Scooby-Doo. Thankies. You ever notice how Velma's IQ goes down by like 50 points anytime she ever loses her glasses? The only time that ever happens to me is when I'm at the orgy. I can't find my glasses. Oh, I found a clue. Oh, it's old Mr. McGregor from the haunted amusement park. Oh. Put your zombie mask back on and let's do this thing. But I did win the slut trifecta. I actually know who the father is of all 3 of my children.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's even the same guy. So made it so much easier when I had to collect child support. I definitely recommend that. But I will be honest, I am bi. I like both Star Trek and Star Wars. But specifically with Star Trek, I'm not like so much into like the old time Kirk with William Shatner and stuff like that. You know, Spock is hot, but you know, my dad was an engineer, so of course I'm going to go with Spock. But I really prefer TNG. For those not in the know, that's The Next Generation, who introduced us to Captain Picard, excuse me, because oh yes, there's nothing hotter than a bald man who knows how to follow the rules. Why, yes, Captain Picard, do make it so. And let's not forget, Data the android is fully functional and anatomically correct. I gotta wonder though if he's got interchangeable parts, because then that totally would be the perfect man. And not only that, you can like just turn off his emotion chip, so it's like a full-sized vibrator. But as honestly though, you know, Star Wars is my first love and all the rest of this. As you can tell, this is my fabulous toy room. This is my collection. I have about $20,000 worth of toys. So
Nice.
I know. That's what I did in the pandemic, is we cataloged this stuff and documented it. And I'm glad to say now, after years of collecting, I finally have every single toy they made for the Phantom Menace.
Wow.
I know, right?
Wow.
Do you know how hard it is to find a Jar Jar Binks who's not been burned, maimed, or otherwise molested? It's a real challenge. It is a real challenge. I mean, I even have the C-3PO dildo. No, I'm kidding. It's actually R2-D2. He is the droid I was looking for. So I just want to give you a couple last things from my last few seconds. So since we're all stuck on Zoom meetings all the time, I actually know a very little bit of American Sign Language. My grandson's a little bit hard of hearing, but I'm really bad at this. So if I tell you things wrong, don't roast me, I know. But yeah, everybody's sitting in silence in these Zoom meetings, right? So it's important to understand some basic signs. So first of all is yes. So if we go out like this, like hook 'em horns, and we go, shoop, pull it back. So yes, I agree with you, right? No is a fun one. It's like this. No, shut your fucking mouth. Just no. Don't need that anymore. If you need to step away for a moment, you got to go wait. I love this. This is my favorite sign, right? Right? So it's like, sit around, play with your balls for a while. I'll be right back. Just wait. If you're going to be gone for a really long time, this is a very helpful one. It's poop. Wait, I'm gotta poop. Okay. The most important one for your business meetings is this one here. So follow along. I'm going to back up so you can see it a little bit better. So we got our hook 'em horns again, right? And we're like this on our hands. So we got our hook 'em horns going. We got to go like this. Bum, bum, bum. This means bullshit. Right? I am done with your bullshit. And there you go.
Nice.
Life's fun way to spice up your Zoom meetings. So thank you very much. That's my time.
Nice.
Donna Shannon, ladies and gentlemen, with the Orange is the New Black collection.
It's Velma, man. It's Velma.
Coming to a highway near you. Donna's very good. I love that opening line, man.
Right.
3 times because I'm a keeper. I'm surprised your third husband didn't see you in a cardboard box beside the freeway.
No, that's where I found him. Match.com. It's pretty much the same thing.
That's really
Mike, earlier you mentioned the touring cast of Godspell that
Yeah,
had
I
been
did
performing
mention that.
on the Ima Kneady the week before. And by chance, I've asked them to stop by and
know,
join us
You know
on
what's funny
stage.
about that? What's funny about that is we
Yes.
do this show day by day, day by day. Anyway.
Well, you said that out of the blue, and I happened to find this stage photo out of the blue.
Oh, like,
yeah. And so I hope you'll sing at least one number from the show.
Well, I'd be happy to. My sweet Lord, would I love to. Okay.
Can I put you on the spot? We've spotlighted you.
You want me to sing now?
No. Let's go to Jake Hovis. Jake Hovis has a very funny bit.
I think it's spectacularly appropriate that Jake would be the next act because we just came from Godspell and here we are.
Oh, that did work out. Look at that. As if this was God's plan.
We're actually introducing the Sea of Galilee. Please welcome Jake Hovis, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, Jake Hovis gonna tell us, inform us about virtual yachting, I believe, right?
That's right. That's right. 5 things you don't know about virtual yachting. Obviously, you guys know a lot about virtual yachting.
Tons.
Tons and tons. Just take a picture, use your imagination, and, do it. But here are 5 things that you don't know about virtual yachting. First of all, you can still get seasick. It's still possible to get seasick. It's usually not from the motion, but from the sick beats from our in-house DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, DJ Doogie Howser, there to cure you with some sick beats. Hey, he's not a real doctor, but he's got a PhD in funk. All right. Second thing you don't know about virtual yachting is that obviously we all know that the back of the boat, that's the stern. But in virtual yachting, that space is reserved for serious conversations. Very stern conversations happening in the back of the boat. Most recently, I ran into my mechanic back there who said I need to rotate my tires because I'm in the car. It's wearing uneven on one side. He also recommended portion control. All right. Stern conversations in the back of the boat. The third thing you don't know about virtual yachting is, we all know this though, that the best 2 days in a boat owner's life are the day that he buys the boat and the day that he sells the boat. In virtual yachting is a little different. The best day is when you find a copyright-free photo. And the second best day is when you complete your online degree. Because the University of Phoenix is very prestigious. That's right. It goes great with virtual yachting. The fourth thing is you can get celebrities to steer your boat.
Damn.
Yeah, my favorite is Captain Crunch. He's got naval experience. That's great.
That was an authentic pig snort out there.
Yeah, we got one of those.
Unfortunately for Captain Crunch, after 20 minutes, he gets soggy. And if you go too fast, he'll cut the roof of your mouth. The fifth and final thing that you don't know about virtual yachting is that virtual yachts come with extra wide doors. Not only can I fit through easily, but both Rose and Jack can float at the same time. And you can paint me like one of your French girls. Okay, thank you.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Jake Hovis. Nailed it.
Bringing the heat on virtual yachting.
Right. Oh, that just
I
made my
just hope
day.
people were here for the yacht at the beginning of it, so it makes a modicum of sense. Well, there I am on the left again.
Right.
Still apparently super glued to that Golden Globe.
Yeah, you seem to bring it everywhere, Mike. I'm at least able to leave my
Because I'm
Kennedy
not in charge of the graphics. But be that as it may, there's also a little champagne glass in my hand. And why? Because
why was there some champagne in here?
no, forget it. I don't even want your help now. Why? Because this is our maiden voyage to Bahama.
Oh.
On my first visit to Maine, the first thing I heard from a Mainer after I got inside the state line was some guy saying, "There's nothing wrong with Maine. The dynamite in the bridge at Kittery wouldn't cure." The guy pumping gas like a quarter of a mile from the state line. I got New York plates on my car.
Right.
It wasn't the subtlest of messages, but get out of here.
Right.
So anyway.
Why don't you go, New York? Well, sweet moves here in the Red Room Theater, I believe is what it's called. Or potentially the Red Rum Theater. And
there were a couple of chuckles. We call them chuckles.
Right. Well, we got
cool samples. Oh, now it's not there anymore. So
another fine comedian ahead, buddy. And this guy, we first met. Remember, we used to tell jokes live. Wasn't that a thing?
Oh, those were the days, huh?
Like, if you can't believe this, Mike and I would go to a place, and we would tell jokes, and people would be there. And we would have liquor and the show was fun and everything. And this next guy would come in, we'd be like, "Oh, it's so fun, Elliot is here." And people would have his joke.
I think we should just back up just a little bit and let everybody know a place is like your house, only somewhere else. Okay.
Right. Here, live from his place, is Elliot Weber, everybody.
Thank you very much. Sorry I was late to the show. I didn't really, I was having technical difficulties or something, but I appreciate you guys having my back. Did you guys see the sweet pun I made in the comments real quick before I move on?
I did.
Yes.
The Titanic,
Yes.
there's 3 hours, I'll never get back. I have an economics degree, so I know that's a sunk cost. I don't usually do wordplay, but I'm kind of proud of that one. I liked it.
We don't do puns here.
Don't do puns here. Noted. Noted.
That's why the yacht is the Ima Kneady Yacht instead of the Ima Kneady Yacht. Hey, that's a lot to just fuck you up, and I apologize for that. Go ahead.
I like your set, Jake Hovis. I like your rules of virtual boating. I want Popeye the Sailor Man to steer my boat, and then also drive my ship or whatever. You know what I mean? Did that come across right? Is this allowed to be? This is allowed to be as dirty as we want, right? I can make a seaman joke about Jake Hovis' set. Like I'm trying to think of it.
Who does the envelope? We'll let you know when you've crossed the line.
Okay, I don't. Well, I did one of these online shows like a week or so ago, and apparently there were kids involved, and I don't know. I guess I didn't realize. Did you know kids can get on the internet now? And apparently there's children on the internet, and I told some jokes that might have not been healthy for young minds, and I got ridiculed a little bit and blocked in a couple of Facebook Messenger groups. So I don't know. That was
Fun fact, Elliot. Before you go on with your next thing, kids can make a lot of money on the internet right now.
I'll move on. I think last time I was here was before CrossFit was racist. It sucks that CrossFit is racist now because my face kind of already looks like I might be a racist, and like obviously I do CrossFit, so it's not a good not a good look for me going forward. But I've also been back to work, which I think has been nice. I work in the service industry. I'm a bartender, and I was really missing that. I was excited to be back, and I was wondering when I went back how long it would take before someone ordered a veggie burger with a side of bacon, and I lost it, and it was 3 hours. I was so grateful to be back, and then the the ignorance and high maintenance people immediately ruined it for me, and that's fine. I think I'm a bit of a self-conscious, insecure person. I try hard not to act that way on stage and in person, but I think that's really just some form of overcompensation, and these are more the online therapy conversations I have, so I'm kind of getting mixed up with my groups here. But I think the best thing that's come out of the craziness that has been this year is I don't care what people think about me as much anymore. Like, I remember before all this was happening, I ordered a coffee shop, and I went to put $2 in the tip jar, but the barista turned around to make my coffee right when I put the money in the jar, so he didn't see me do it. And then I was thinking like, oh, this guy's gonna think I'm an asshole that doesn't tip. I don't want that. So I reached into the jar to take my money out, and I was gonna put the money back in when he saw me do it, because I don't tip to help other people. I do it for personal gratification. And it was tragic that when I was taking my money back out, he turned around again to ask me if I wanted room for cream, and he saw me taking the money out. So now not only does he think I don't tip, he also thinks I'm a thief. So I panicked, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting serial number. I pretended to examine the dollar and got lame excuse. And then I took out another $5 and put that in the tip jar because I was panicking, and I paid $11 for a $3 coffee. And that was my own fault. That's my own insecurity coming through. But I don't get that anymore because of how crazy everything has been. I'll start to have those same thoughts. I'll be like, oh, I wonder if this guy thinks I'm nice or thinks I'm a cool person. And then I'll pull out my phone and be like, oh, Kanye's president. Never mind. It doesn't matter. It's the epitome of we live in now in the era of nothing matters. And it's really bringing out my nihilist views in a really positive way. I like it a lot. I did a real live show down in Parker, inside a restaurant, which seemed a little risky. They don't give a shit in Parker. I don't think they have the internet. Honestly, it's just kids that have it. Yeah, that's in the back. I don't think they knew in Parker that there was a pandemic going on, but I like Parker, and like it's beautiful that you could just go 20 minutes outside of Denver and you have the open spaces and the views, less cocaine, more meth. It's a really cool town. I like what they have going on there. The vibe, it suits my vibe, I think. I was gonna do some jokes about being bi, but I think it's the same thing that, like, in the last 2 years, that has become not even an angle anymore. I thought I was like unique. I thought it was interesting that I sucked a few dicks and slept with a few guys, but now no one cares. And my friends are also like, yeah, we get it, dude. We also voted for Hillary. We're liberals, man. You don't have to show off. Okay, like what? You think we're Republicans? Calm down, dude. Everyone does that at this point. So I think that'll conclude my bi material, and I'll search for a new angle over the next couple of months. And thank you guys for having me back very much. I appreciate it. It's lovely to see your faces, and funny sets so far. So I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Elliot. Elliot Weber.
Weber.
Completely redefine his sexuality before his next set. Give him a little. Come on. Just have one word to say to you: bestiality. It's
Oh man,
not just for breakfast anymore.
Right. Let's see if those punchlines work.
Hey, I'm from Parker, by the way, Elliot. So thanks a lot for trashing everything that I believe in.
I said they have beautiful views, Mike. They have beautiful views, wide open spaces.
Labs. Isn't that right, Elliot? Beautiful views of meth labs.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're art galleries, Mike. I don't know.
Sue us for being capitalist. Sue us for being working class people down here. You didn't say a thing about the Mormons. 7 of my wives were deeply offended by your set.
I didn't know they had Mormons in Parker. Maybe that's why they don't wear masks or something.
Yeah, maybe that's why they don't wear, or maybe they're just people who understand that it's the plandemic. You know what I mean, buddy?
We're gonna allow that pun. That's the pun.
Please, Elliot. Please go ahead.
No, I was just saying it was a good pun. Sorry. Go on. Onward with it.
dancing on words and dancing on the piano. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
dry for a guy of my apparent age.
Right. I've made a mistake. I'm gonna skip ahead, Mike. We're gonna bring up Troy Walker in a bit.
Good.
Uh,
What about Steve Young? What is he doing?
Stephen
Anything?
Young is going to be here. I believe we wanted to get to the Grand Theater so we could do
yeah.
our grand thank yous.
This is the Opera House in Manaus. It's also called the Grand Theater. It's called the Grande Theater. Actually, Portuguese is a language.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
6 hours up the Amazon River from the coast, and nobody lives in the town anymore. But they have a lovely opera house. You don't just laugh at these mics. You don't just laugh at a showcase show that Chuck Roy does. You learn.
Oh yeah, you learn. I believe this theater, located just down the hall from the galley aboard the Ima Kneady. So that's on the lower level.
This is one of the smaller ones, right? I remember 1,200 seating.
Right, yeah, just a few seats, and a great spot for all your sweet dance moves, Mike. You really been laying it out for everybody.
That was the benefit for all the people in the world who thought Carrot Top was a good comedian.
Right. So,
are we picking our VIPs? We should.
We should. That was a great time to thank the Schwendemans. Madison, Trevor. Glad you joined us. Thank you.
Schwendeman, I believe, is a Danish word for strawberry ice cream. If you're ever in Daneland, as they used to call it, just ask for a Schwendeman, and when they say how much is that, you say $10, same as in town.
It is. That's my flavor, man. And don't forget what we skipped over, Jessica. Jessica, how do we say that? Kibble? Kybel? Kybel. And thank you, Jessica. Glad to see you again. You're pulling my face. Right, you've got my nose.
It's like this Farmer's Kleenex thing happening.
Rick Siegel, thank you for your patience and for joining us. We appreciate you. Mike, we definitely have special gifts for our VIPs, and we'll walk them through those gifts in a moment, right? I think.
Are we about to arrive?
First, I think we ought to get to Bar Harbor and see the sights.
Yep.
What can you tell us about downtown Bar Harbor, Mike? For anybody who's new or wants, say, some nightlife or adventure. Here comes the Ima Kneady across the dock.
While you're in Bar Harbor, make sure you stop by at the Neon Moose, the oldest and, in fact, only strip club in Bar Harbor.
Oh.
It's right there, and sometimes it gets so steamy in there that the women strip down to just a flannel shirt. So they really know how to take it off in Bar Harbor.
Really, really hot show. So make sure you take that in. And we've prepared, Chef has prepared, Chef Mark Scapone aboard the Ima Kneady has prepared a delicious lobster dinner for all of our VIPs. So those of you in general admission, Laura Hovis up there in the balcony, you don't get a lobster, okay?
Virtual lobster.
Just for Trevor and the Schwendemans. I'm gonna say that. Did I say it right?
Schwendeman.
Yeah. Well, this lobster is just for them and for Jessica and for Rick. So you guys get a lobster dinner.
Well, you'll be getting your own virtual lobsters. It's not just one that you have to split between you, because you're probably hundreds of miles apart. I don't even know where the Schwendemans are from.
It's an all-you-can-eat virtual buffet for you. Which, Laura, if you want, up from the balcony, you can smell the butter. Probably that'll be.
Are you kidding? In the balcony of that theater, she'll slip in the butter.
Right. And we've arranged a dinner for you. If our lobster isn't good enough, we're going to send you out to the lobster pot. You can also get charcoal broiled steaks, which that's what Mike gets every time. I don't like lobster either, so Mike and I go to the lobster pot for steak. And we've arranged a night with this couple for you VIPs. You can virtually have fun with this couple, whatever that means for you. Maybe it's a game night and boggle.
The restaurant next to us is boggle. And you get a chance to sit next to two people who stare at each other without ever looking towards you. Really an experience not to be missed, I'll be honest with you. And incidentally, they're actually the first fraternal conjoined twins at the hands.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was possible until we researched for the show.
What a tragic love story. What you also will notice is anytime you plan a virtual adventure with your favorite couple, things will stay shady and bright, as you can borrow, just for your own virtual fun, my Kennedy Center Award, just tucked away in the
that
right
old
corner
thing in there again.
your screen. I can't believe, but you know, we wanted to make sure you have a good time, so you know, bring the award. And general admission folks, we got a prize for you. Mike and I really we searched high and low to make sure
we went all out.
We had something accurate.
His and hers, ebony and ivory rotary phone. That's right. We actually stole into Lord McCartney's home and got this. He had gotten these as a gift for singing on Ebony and Ivory. And he'd had them. We snuck in there and we said, look, you're just going to look like a racist with these two in your house.
Right.
Next to each other without any kind of explanation. People are going to say, okay, right. So first of all, the white one's bigger. Why is that? And we decided to take it out, and it's for you general admission, lucky general admission members of the show tonight. So congratulations on that. And dial up some fun with your old rotary phone.
So if Jessica, I'm going to do my best to see if I can't send you one. I'll go check to see if Salt and Pepper can be delivered to you, our friend. And folks at home watching on the YouTube, you can virtually imagine receiving these yourself. And if 772-1389 is your virtual phone number, this is really going to come in handy.
Oh my God.
Well, so, you know,
the marriage made in New Haven.
We've whizzed through the prizes, Mike, and it's, you know, now we've got them the love, and now it's time for a little bit of information and make sure we learn and we do something vital, and we learn about the kids over at Elevating Connections. Stacy Sanders, executive director of our favorite charity, joining us from Crested Butte. So thank you on your vacation.
Yeah.
Here, we appreciate you, Stacy Sanders.
Yep.
Thank you.
And the kind folks listening on the YouTube, all about the cool Elevating Connections and what you do, please.
She pretended.
Thank you so much. This is how much I love this event. I would not miss it, even in Crested Butte. So here's what we do. We reunite siblings separated in foster care, and we raise youth voice through poetry jam and spoken word and comedy soon. Stay tuned for that. So we had our most successful poetry jam just last month, thanks to Chuck and some other folks that are part of Colorado comedy shows, and it was amazing. We were able to do it virtually because COVID has changed everything in our world. But what it did is we had one youth from Colorado Springs and one youth from Larimer County who would not been able to join us if we did not have that opportunity. And as we start planning the rest of our year and what things look like for our kids, we're coming up on Camp To Belong Colorado, which is an opportunity that we have for for separated youth, siblings who are separated in foster care, to come together at summer camp. We can't do overnight camp because of COVID, but we're doing a day camp. And Raghu talked about a birthday party birthdays for his kids. And what some of our siblings don't have is time together on their birthdays. So we're very much hoping that if COVID allows, we're going to have a big birthday party outside in October. So that's something that we're working towards. But if you think about some of the things that are important to you in your life and that may have been affected by the pandemic, it's been even more so for the youth that I serve. So siblings have been it's been even hard for them to see each other. Older youth have been more isolated, which is part of what we are doing here, is providing technology connection, which is what our poetry jam did. We have the opportunity to give them iPads, and, excuse me, tablets, and connection to the internet, which they don't have. And so we're able to do all of that. And I'm very grateful for this platform, for ApocaLips, for Chuck and Mike and Stephen, Jake, and so many people that are helping us out. So thank you, thank you.
Stacy, you're very welcome. And can you just, with back to school coming up, you got a grant, you have some Chromebooks, and say the money we got you helps get kids their phone turned on so they can turn on the mobile hotspot, connect to school. And you know me, I'm all like school, school, school. But this week we had a great talk and you were like, Chuck, long before school, they got to have a connecting event. And it's the brother and sister or the separated siblings just got to hang out. And then they can talk about school. But first, and can you just 30 more seconds on why is it so important to get that foundational connection together for the youth who are separated by foster care?
So if you think about the sibling relationship, it is by far the longest relationship most of us have, and it's our first relationship. It's the relationship that sets all relationships off on success. We learn to problem solve. We learn to fight with each other and make up with each other. And our sibling relationship, they're the people we turn to throughout our lives, if you like your siblings, and sometimes even if you don't. But we turn to each other for support, and they're the ones who make us feel safe and connected to everybody else in our world. And so what happens when our youth are separated from each other in foster care because of the abuse and neglect that they've suffered at the hands of their parents, they're also isolated from the 1 or 2 or 3 or 6 people who know them better than anybody else. And so that is why the work that we do at Elevating Connections is so important, because if you can't connect with at least one person in your world, then you cannot, it's so much harder for everything else that comes after foster care. And to answer your question, Donna, you can, I'll put it in the comments, but you can donate it at my website. So I'll put that in. Thank you so much.
Elevatingconnections.org, best place to donate. Now we donate a portion of your ticket sales and such to the charity. But if for those of you watching on the YouTube, those of you watching later, best place to donate, right direct at the website. That way you join the mailing list and you keep informed. The virtual dinner is coming up and we have more to do, like the birthday party. And then in the fall, they got to go to Hayride, right? Hayride, like they got to do a hayride. Brothers and sisters got to, go out and celebrate stuff like Halloween. So, and when they do that, then they can check in and be like, hey, how's school? All right. So,
hey, Chuck, can I give you some really quick numbers just so you know what you've done and this ApocaLips has done and Colorado Comedy shows?
Anything for you, Stacy?
In our poetry jam and the ticket sales and donations, this whole venue and this whole support has raised over $5,000 for Elevating Connections, and that is no small number.
That's awesome. I'm wicked glad, and we're just gonna keep doing more. And it's a good thing you're doing. Speaking of good things, on Monday nights, portion of ticket sales for open mic, Mike Langworthy's funny comedy show, where we met very funny comedians throughout. Several of the comedians you saw tonight debuted on our open mic comedy show. So that's tomorrow night.
We've been getting comics from all over the world, literally all over the world.
Right, comics from all over the world, customers who have great ideas, like don't do webinar, do Zoom, and then that makes the poetry jam go successful, and we raised $4,000 for Stacy. So good things happen when people show up at our virtual comedy shows. Back to the old school ApocaLips stage, Mike, to get a little old school and bring up one of our favorite performers.
Oh, absolutely, this is that burrowing owl of comedy.
Well, if you're new to us, you might be new to Dear Comics at the Bar, something I'm on every Saturday. I'm still hungover from yesterday. It's on the Instagram, and he's very funny. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please, a mighty round of applause for Mr. Stephen Young.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, Chuck. I got some good news. I actually wrote 4.5 new jokes for your show this week.
Damn.
Yeah, the bad news is they're embedded in 7 premises, so we'll try to figure that out. If you ever made a checklist and then you get to the end of the day and you realize you haven't done anything on the checklist, so you just start writing down the stuff you did so you can check it off. You know, I don't.
Yeah.
Like drank 6 beers. Well, that should really be 6 things, shouldn't it? So, you know, make checklist. So, you know, I even actually, I'm not alone. I mean, God even did this. I mean, it's right there in the book of Genesis. Day 7, I rested. Yeah, that's it. I rested. So, tell checklist joke. Okay, I did that. So that's good. I've been driving across this fair country of ours, Chuck, and it was alarming. It was alarming to me because people are not wearing masks. And in fact, it seems like some of the ugliest people are the ones not wearing the masks. So, I mean, it's terrible. It's like I went to the DMV and you got to wear a mask. That's the prettiest that place has looked in years. So, can we, maybe it's the marketing, you know, maybe we don't call them masks. Maybe we just call them, oh, you need some jowl concealer, you know, or hey, it's a neck gaiter for your goiter. So is that fun? I don't know. So our president, you know, I mean, well, if you told me by year 4 of the Trump administration, we'd all be looking back fondly for that time when the nation mourned the death of a former basketball player and accused rapist, I'd say, yeah, that sounds about right. Those were the days. Here we are, though, 130,000 helicopter crashes later, pining for an innocent time. And it is pathetic. The guy was going to have a rally in New Hampshire on Friday, and he canceled it due to the weather. The truth is, nobody was going to go. The weather forecast had a 15% chance of rain. This is true. You can look it up. And I'm thinking, man, that big black Sharpie came in handy again, didn't it? So, this guy's still having rallies. Florida is going to get a convention as they have 60,000 or whatever people getting sick. Trump is like a spoiled kid who doesn't want anybody to leave his birthday party, even though the cake gave everybody food poisoning. You know, he's like, I don't care about your explosive diarrhea. I want to play pin the tail on Dr. Fauci. It's pathetic. So I've been driving and I see this guy, and this is another true thing happens to me, a motorcyclist. And he's not taking care of himself either. He's wearing a top hat. And I'm thinking, a top hat? Come on, a top hat is not a helmet. Just ask Abe Lincoln. So, it's true. It's true. His last words were, but Mary Todd, the haberdasher, said it was actor resistant. God, I like that joke. That's stupid. I'm sorry, interweb. So this is another story that happened this week for your show, Chuck, is the head writer of Tucker Carlson's show was fired for posting racist and sexist things on the internet. And I was shocked. Tucker Carlson has a head writer? What is that? What do you do? What a job. That's like being the head writer for a cuckoo clock. You know, it's like, okay, in about half an hour, I want you to say cuckoo 12 times. And wait an hour and just say it once, okay? You got that? So, they did a poll. This is a true story. They did a poll of Fox News viewers, and they preferred overwhelmingly, they were in favor of the Affordable Care Act, yet they were vehemently opposed to Obamacare. Those are the same things. In the same poll, they preferred the term Fox News viewer to racist dipshit. So I don't know, I guess it's just how you say tomato thing. Look, I will get up. I want you, people make fun of where I am. This is a photo of my relative, John Lewis Young. He fought in the Civil War. And so he fought for the winning team. So he gets a tiny photo. Meanwhile, our president is defending the giant statues of the losers. I don't understand it. A Confederate statue is the ultimate participation ribbon. You know, that's why this country has these problems. It's like, oh, Jefferson Davis, so you caused the needless slaughter of 200,000 Americans in the name of racist treason. So your face is printed on money that's headed for outhouses across the Carolinas. You know, I don't care about that. That gray uniform really makes your eyes pop. You're terrific.
Oh, no.
That's like the cruise ship industry making a statue for the Lusitania. I thought this was a boat show, so I was trying to bring it home for you. Anyway, if we're in Maine, they used to say, remember the Maine, you know, and the drumbeat to the Spanish-American War. Now all they're saying is, remember the Senator Susan Collins. You know, it led to equal bloodshed and failure. That's all I got, you guys. Happy whatever this is.
Nice job.
Happy July 12th. everybody.
I was trying to say at the beginning there, Stephen, that you were the burrowing owl of comedy, a lawyer that somebody liked.
Appreciate that, I think.
Right.
Oh, no, it's all right. It's all right. I'm mocking the profession, not you.
Okay, I'll take it. Thanks.
Anyway, great job. I would give him another round of applause. I mean, that's just me.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit more love for Mr. Stephen Young.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you.
Hey, and speaking of love, you're gonna love this next guy.
Right.
Am I right, Chuck?
I'm gonna love this next guy.
I think that you should bring this next guy on then, because
Right, I'm happy to. One of my favorite comedians to tell jokes with. Glad to have you back in our virtual house, sir. Please welcome Troy Walker, ladies and gentlemen. Troy Walker!
Walker.
How's it
Troy
going?
Walker!
How's it going, Chuck? I
Got a beer for this.
And you know, I'm sorry I was late. I screwed up on my putting it in my calendar. I was late for, I believe you said it was New England night, right?
Bar Harbor, Maine. We're virtually
Bar Harbor,
Bar Harbor, Maine.
Bar Harbor, Maine. Bar Harbor, Maine, dude. You know, still doing all right. Still, you know, still doing my my Zoom therapy sessions. Trying to keep it together. You know, I do think I mentioned this last time. I have a very Russian therapist. Like, she's super Russian. Like, where you're like a little like, are you a spy? Like a little, like it's a little Boris and Natasha, but are you the worst spy? Or are you like the one that got like the spy duty to just listen to Americans complain? The worst. It's like that's what you get told to do when you screw up on the rest of your spy duties. You know, they don't put you on a desk. They go, you will now be therapist for Americans. They go, no. But she's very nice. What is hard though about having a very Russian therapist who has a very, very deep Russian accent is it feels weird to complain to her. Like any knowledge of the Soviet Union, it feels real hard to bitch. Like, like I'm like talking to her going like, well, I don't know, like I'm kind of like worried about emailing my agent because it was weird last time. And she's like looking at me like, oh, is that so? do you know what the cars look like where I'm from? It's very like, she has like a look on her face. Like, if you haven't saved up to buy a Tonka truck, get the fuck out of my face. And you know what happened the other day was she, like I said, her accent is very heavy, and she's a very nice person. I don't want to talk too much shit. I almost feel bad. Her accent is very heavy, and so sometimes it's hard to like understand her. So one of the things she was doing, she was telling me that I have to be very conscious of my vibe. But she said vibe, and I didn't understand it. And so she was just like, we have to fix your vibe. And I was like, what is that? She kept saying vibe, and I'm polite. That's like one of the things we're working on. So I'm just like, my vibe. And, I didn't want to actually be like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. So when I finally got it, I was like, oh, vibe. And then I was like, but I don't, in my head, I was just going, were you fucking with me? Because I know there's V's in your name. I've heard you use that down before. Like, isn't like Russia, like the language is like 40% V's. Like, so it was like really weird to me because I was going like, what? I know you know what that is. And so it was like hard to sort through. But it also is interesting, just like the whole vibe of it feels weird because not that she's not nice. Again, she's very nice and she's very smart, very competent. I would recommend her to anybody. But she has been trying to, therapy is a very granola thing. It's a very like fruit thing. It doesn't really fit her vibe that much. So she's been telling me to like use, everything feels like a threat. All of her like helpful things are like, you will the feelings wheel. And I'm like, what? Are you gonna like stretch me out on it? I've been talking to my friends. One thing that's fun is watching all of my over 30 friends get lonely during the pandemic, particularly my over 30 female friends, because their standards were already pretty low, but they get lower and lower and lower and lower. Like, I was talking to my friend the other day, and she was telling me that somebody was working on the unit next to her, and she ran into them, and she mentioned that her window was squeaking. And so the guy was like, oh, I can fix that. He came over, put some WD-40 on it, and left, and she was like, in love. And I was like, that's bare minimum. That's like low-level shit. And it made me think about how penthouse letters from women over 30 would be nowhere near sex. They wouldn't even be kind of good. It would be like, dear penthouse, it all started when I saw him use a fork. He was sitting at a restaurant chewing with his mouth closed. I would have married him right there. There's a very low. I have a very rich friend. One of my friends is very rich, and he says really rich things sometimes, and it makes me laugh because sometimes the things he says are so rich. Like the other day, we were talking about Trump's voters and how they won't use masks. And he goes, Troy, the thing you got to remember is that many of these people are self-educated. And it was the richest thing I've ever heard anybody say. Self-educated, just with such contempt and disdain. Many of these people are self-educated. I feel bad for them, Boy. You're self-educated, boy. Many of them are self-educated, like, what was your name again, boy? Like, there's something that's so funny about the phrase self-educated, like they're doing arithmetic on a tree. Like they're like adding with a stick in the sand. Fucking made me laugh so hard. Obviously, everybody knows there's been a lot of talk lately about racial justice and things like that. And one thing that I think is interesting is you don't realize as an American how just inherently like you take all of that stuff, like you just kind of accept like racism and things like that. It's such a part of your thought process and your view of the world, and you don't even consider it. Like I have a friend who is Canadian, and she went to a party in Alabama, and as part of the party, I should mention she's Black and Canadian. This is why it's significant. So she's Black and Canadian. She went to a party in Alabama, and while she was there for a few days, they went to the Civil Rights Museum down there, and they also have like a museum of lynchings and things like that. And she came back to LA, and we were talking about it, and she was like, it was like bad. And I laughed so hard at how blown over she was at the fire hoses and the dogs and all of that shit. She was like looking at it like, did you know about this? And I was like, oh yeah, this shit is terrible. I did not know that, you moron. Which is so funny to me that like, I was like, yeah, you're the idiot. I'm the idiot. She's not the idiot. That's like the reasonable reaction you would have to seeing that would be like, what the fuck? But here we're just like, yeah, you didn't know it was like basically terrorism. Anyway, you want to go get some barbecue? Like what? It's just like you accept it. I'll do one last story, I think, because I think do I have time for one more, Chuck?
Oh yeah.
How long do you want me to do? Can I ask?
Go ahead.
Okay.
You can do a couple more if you like.
Okay. This is a story this is a story that's kind of embarrassing, but I think it's pretty funny. I don't know if it's good as comedy. Recently, so every once in a while, I mentioned, Chuck knows this, I've never been good at dating stuff. Always been really bad at it.
Horrible.
Basically a moron. Yeah, it's kind of most of my career, it's kind of ironic because most of my career is based on telling jokes about not getting laid. So, but you know, obviously, right now a lot of people have to be inside and they have to look at, porn, and there's a lot of concern about pornography screwing up guys' heads. Like there's like a thing where it like messes you up and you're like not into it anymore. But I know that's not happening to me, and I know that because I'm still a boring fuck. Very boring. Not so boring. And I realized this because recently I managed to get laid. Not during the pandemic. I'm not a monster, obviously. But before the pandemic, in the before times.
Remember?
In the before times, before pandemic, BP is what we'll call it. January BP. So January BP, I managed to get laid. You know, every once in a while it happens. I stumble my way into something, bump my head on some pussy or whatever, right? So I'm having sex with this girl, and while I'm having sex with her, she goes, "Do you want to come on my face?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, do you want me to? And she's like, do you want to? And I'm like, I mean, I'm kind of good where it is. And she's like, oh, okay. And then I told my friend about it, and he was like, you idiot, that was the thing she needed. She needed that so that she could get up. And I was like, he was like, why didn't you do it? And I was like, well, then she should have asked for it. That's not, you don't put that on me. That's not what you do. That's like when people go, oh, do you want to drive me to the airport? No, I don't want to drive you to the airport. If you want somebody to drive you to the airport or come on your face, you fucking ask for it. You don't make it sound like I asked you to do that. So then I leave your apartment feeling like I'm a weirdo. You accept that for yourself. But here's the other part of a different story. Another time I managed to somehow get laid. Because I didn't have it much. I was having sex with this girl, and I was like, man, this condom really sucks. And she goes, I think you need bigger ones. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, I think you need big. She goes, did you just buy regular ones? And I was like, that's what I thought you get. And then she was like, no, you need bigger ones. And I talked to And then this was after I had talked to a buddy who was like, "You get some magnums," and I was like, "I don't think I need magnums." And he was like, "That's very honest of you." And then I found out later that maybe I do. I just figured, I thought that was for like circus acts. Like I thought it was like regular guy. Like I thought, like I've been buying regular condoms the whole time. I go to 7-Eleven, I get regular ones, and I just thought they were uncomfortable because I thought condoms suck. I thought that was like the whole point. like that's just what I thought, and so I just like I thought it was like regular person and like circus act, and it turns out no, there's a whole gradation of people, and you got to be careful about what you specifically are. And I told my friend that, and he goes, "You've been buying white boy condoms like a fucking idiot." And it's the funniest thing anyone's ever said to me, and that's the end of the story.
Fantastic.
That's it. That's all.
Troy Walker, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, white boy condoms.
Now,
that's hilarious. White boy condoms. You've been going to a lot of different circuses than me. That's all I could say. Circuses you've been going to, but I haven't seen any of those acts. I've got comedy shows, sure. Tijuana, sure. That's all right. But anyway, I'm sorry I even brought that up. So anyway, I'm coming on this guy's face while I'm driving him to the airport. Check this out.
Right.
Anyway, never mind. Forget it. Forget the whole thing.
Right.
You were very funny.
I think I learned a lot. Troy Walker, ladies and gentlemen, give him a nice round of applause.
Yeah, give him a nice round of applause.
And, I think we've enjoyed our time here in the Bar Harbor. Probably time to start heading back towards Denver, everybody. So really
one of these weeks, we're going to explain to you how we get that yacht all the way to Denver from Bar Harbor.
Right. So just got to make sure we cruise through and say thanks to Stephen Young and Jake Hovis and Donna Shannon, and
Elliot Weber.
Elliot Weber. We had a ton of funny comedians. Stacy Sanders, you appeared with us. Thank you.
He was lovely.
Thanks to Bob for holding up the sign this whole time there in Washington. So appreciate him. There's only one point to that joke.
Signs matter.
We figured we'd get that joke in there twice. And we have been the ApocaLips Comedy Show. You have been the best audience we had all night.
Oh my God.
I got to tell you, right, Mike? That was just...
We had some people in here at 4:30 that were dead on their feet. They were dead on their feet.
Yeah, no. The rehearsal audience was brutal, but thank God, folks all showed up.
Yeah, we did that warm up. That's all I can say.
Right. Be careful as you exit the ApocaLips Comedy Club. It seems the neighborhood, struggling. We're waiting for that next, stimulus check.
Yep. We're doing a little bit of scoping out the neighborhood there near the Boston Comedy Club.
Yep, behind the comedy club. For those of you who don't know, this takes me back to the day. I started.
There's a door there on the left, going back to our original line of work.
Yep, Nick's Comedy Stop was located just around the corner from what is called the Boston's Combat Zone, which is what you're seeing right now, where ladies of the evening and fellas of the night would get together and offer you outstanding services.
A naked man with huge coronavirus on his
right. He's got spores growing on him, and of course she's got her fancy moves, and the rest of the group showed up. Sorry, my ride's here. And what do we know? We know that when the gold guy shows up, we officially have to stop streaming on YouTube. So thanks.
Till the gold lady sings.
Right. Thank you, YouTubers, for